Hey guys, it's me, Ebony Shanae, author and speaker, and I am so excited. Today is testimony time, and I just want to talk about a time not that long ago where God showed up and showed out. And this is for anyone and everyone who is currently struggling with something right now where they don't know where it's going to come from, or they don't have the money to attain it, or they're just out of resources. You may truly not know where the resource will come from or how you will get it. So you're probably struggling right now. So this is for you. And I just want you to know that faith in God is so rewarding. Repeat after me. Faith in God is so rewarding. And I say this to say, I'm facing something financial today. So I'm telling you this testimony as I'm going through something right now, because we all have to remind ourselves of who God is. And nothing is impossible with God, okay? So I'm just going to get started. I graduated from Tennessee State University in 2013. So going into the 2013 semester of fall, that was my last semester up until I could graduate. And so I'm excited, I'm ready. I'm like, oh my gosh, because you got to realize I never even dreamt of going to college. I tell people all the time, I always had a plan to become wealthy, but college was never a part of it. But I thank God for my mom and my dad. You know, it wasn't like I was against it. I just never thought about it, you know, just being a young teenager. So thank God for my parents. But yeah, I went to college. I'm entering into my last and final semester, and I was taking some summer courses that I had to take. One of those were algebra. I suck at math, but anyways, I just remember going to financial aid to check on everything, make sure everything is fine and dandy and ready to go. It was time to register for classes. So since I was already there, I was like, I might as well register, go up to the building and register instead of registering online. And so I went up there, and a financial aid woman was dealing with me, and she was like, and I'm like, what? And she was like, you know, you've run out of financial aid money. I'm like, huh? I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, yeah, you've run out of financial aid money. And so I'm just like, okay. She was like, yeah, so you'll have to more than likely pay out of pocket this semester in order to graduate in December. When I tell y'all, my heart dropped. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, because you've run out of financial aid money, there is nothing that, you know, we can do on behalf of Tennessee State University. You have to supply the money in order to complete this semester if you want to graduate in December. And I'm just like, I don't have no money. My parents don't have any money. You know, I don't have a savings account. There isn't one person I can think of to borrow this lump sum of money for classes for this semester. So I immediately got so depressed and so down. And the first thing I did was I called my dad. I let my dad know what was going on. And he was like, baby, I don't know what to tell you. You know, I don't have no money. And just background, I didn't grow up with money. My parents did, my mother and my father did the very best that they could. My mom and my dad sacrificed just to feed me. And I'm not nowhere near ashamed of that, because that's my testimony. And it's one of those things, one of the many things that has brought me even much closer to God, because it taught me to depend on Him, you know. So I thank God for my parents, but they never really ever had money like that. So I called my dad, and he was just like, baby, I don't know what to tell you. Just pray. We gonna figure something out, you know, but I don't have the money. So right after I got a phone with my dad, I called my mom, let her know what's going on. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you gonna have to call and ask somebody. I'm like, Mom, who can I borrow money from? Who's gonna give me this lump sum of money? And it was big. I'm like, who's gonna give me this lump sum of money? So immediately after talking to both of my parents, I just was like, Lord, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? I am almost at the finish line, and I literally have one semester, 3-4 months of classes to take until I can graduate and walk and get my degree, my bachelor's degree. And I'm just like, Lord, like I felt depressed. I felt frustrated. I went through that phase where, why me? Why don't I have money? Why couldn't I be born into money? Or why couldn't I have this? Or why couldn't I have that? So I'm just like, God, I know you have a plan for me. And I started to think to myself, like, hold up. God did not bring me this far to just bring me this far. God did not bring me this far for me to just stay here and to not graduate. It got to the point where I refused to believe that. So it was one of those things where it was like, if you don't wake up, if you don't quicken your senses, if you don't depend on God, then you really won't graduate. You know, like I had enough wisdom to understand this is only a situation that God can come in and do a miraculous wonder. And that, my friends, is what he did. So it got to the point where I talked to my parents, I talked to other people, and I was depressed for like a short day or two. But then I said, you know what? This is not going to help me. I know who God is, and he comes to give us life more abundantly. So we shouldn't worry about things that we do not have control over, because he is the God of impossibilities. There is nothing that he can't do. He can do everything. And so I started praying. God said to me to pray, and I was in my dorm room, and God said, get on your knees and pray. And so I started praying. I said, God, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I trust you. I believe in you. And I was telling God, I said, I trust you. I know that you will make a way. And I just started praying, and I prayed and I prayed, and I just was talking to God, and I let God know that I'm going to trust him throughout this journey. Whatever it is, I'm going to walk by faith and not by sight. I am not capable of bringing forth the necessities to put myself through this last semester. This was a job for only God. This was a job for only the Lord. And so I just was like, I'm telling God, like, I'm going to put my trust in you. I'm going to trust in you to do it. And just to remind you, this was after summer school. So this was only maybe a couple of weeks, up until like 3 to 4 weeks at the most before the actual semester started. So for those who are like, you could have got a job, I was working, and there was no possible way I was going to come up with that lump sum of money in that short amount of time. So this was truly a job for the Lord. And so after I got up praying, I felt better and I felt refreshed. And I truly had to tell myself every day, like, God is going to take care of it. And it got to the point where I would walk campus and I would start affirming that. I would start saying the scriptures, Hebrews 11:1. For those who don't know, Hebrews 11:1 is one of my favorite scriptures because it helped me to understand what faith means. And it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm hoping for God to come through with my financial aid money, or not even with a way to put me through this last semester, and the evidence is not seen. I don't know how he's going to do it because he's God, but I have to have that faith. I have to walk by that. And so I started declaring it. I started decreeing that something is going to happen. A miracle is going to happen. And I just started saying it to the point where I truly started to believe it. I declared it. It was a declaration every day, all day. And I just remember feeling good to the point after a week or so, I believed it so much that no worries were on me or on my spirit. I had no worries because I knew that God was going to do a miracle in my life. and this was going to be the miracle. And so it got to the point where yeah, just walking around campus declaring it and decreeing it, and just declaring miracles are going to happen. A miracle is going to happen. God is going to do a miracle in my life, and I believe that with my whole heart, you know. And God rewards your faith. Your faith in him is so rewarding, and it is such a beautiful thing. And so I remember a couple of weeks, like maybe 2 weeks after that, of me declaring, decreeing, praying, you know, just worshiping God. I remember me talking to one of my good friends. He was a male, and he's from Detroit. And I remember I was letting him know what was going on, but I wasn't worried. I'm just like, yeah, you know, that's what I'm dealing with right now, but I know God is going to make a way. He said, I have an aunt that is in financial aid, and she's been here for like 30 years. He was like, you should go talk to her. I'm like, who is she? And he was like, he told me her name, and I'm like, okay, I'll go talk to her. He said, just see what, you know, what she can at least help you with. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I went that day. No, because that was the evening. I went the next day, the next morning, and I went to the financial aid office on campus, and I went and requested for her. And I had to wait for like probably 35 to 40 minutes. You know, around this time financial aid is booming. Do you hear me? Booming. And so I'm just like, okay, whatever. And so I waited on her, and she came and got me from the front, and we went back to her office, and she was just real sweet and pleasant, and we were just talking, and I was just like, as long as I've been here, I've never seen you before. She was like, really? I said, yeah, I've never seen you. And you've been here, I've been here for 4 years, I've never even seen you. And I'm like, I've never seen you before, you know. And so she started talking to me, and we were just talking, and she was like, so what's going on? I let her know. I said, I've run out of financial aid money. My parents don't have it. I don't have it. I don't even know anyone that I can borrow this big of a lump sum from. I said, so I am in a crisis. I said, so anything that you can do or you think you can do to help me is awesome. I would love that. And so she was like, so what's your GPA? Now I'm gonna be honest with you. The first couple of years, it was average. I didn't start making great grades up until, like, exceedingly great grades up until I started my major. So average, my GPA was a 3.2 at the time, but my cumulative was a 2.7, 2.75, something like that. So I was honest with her, and I just let her know. And she said, okay. She said, look, after we talked for a long time, she was like, I like you. Like, you are a sweet girl. And the fact that she said you're not worried, I can tell that you are okay, but you're not worrying. And I told her, I said, because this is something that God is going to have to show up in my life. I said, and I have faith in him that he will do it. And so she was kind of taken back, and she was like, wow. She was like, you're such a young lady, and to have that type of faith is amazing. I was like, yes. I said, you know, I have to wake up every day thinking that you have to be intentional about your faith. Your faith is not just going to come. You have to work for that. You have to train yourself. You have to believe. You have to read. You have to pray. You have to declare. Faith is not just going to come to you. You have to truly attain that yourself, you know. And so I was just telling her that's what I've been doing. So she was really, really impressed. And she said, you know what? She said, I have a website of, now this was 2013. She was like, I have a website. She said, I need you to apply to every single last one of the scholarships that they have listed. She said, even if you don't apply, she said, even if your GPA does not meet, she said, still apply for it. She said, do that, and I need you to do that immediately because the deadline is in a couple of days. I said, wow. I said, okay. I'll do that, absolutely. And I left there and literally went to the computer lab and started filling out all those scholarships, every single last one. It was almost 130 something, like 133 scholarships. I filled out every single last one. Now, Some of them I did meet the requirements. A lot of them I did, and some of them I didn't. But she told me to fill out every single one of them, and that's what I did. And so after that, I went and checked on her because she's real nice. I just wanted to let her know, no matter what happens, I appreciate you. You were a blessing to me, you know, in a time where nobody else had an answer. She helped me along my way. So I told her thank you, and she told me to keep her posted. So about a week later, I heard nothing from the scholarships. That following Tuesday, I believe, I got an email, and it was one of Tennessee State University's own alumni. It was some type of organization. I'm not going to say it, but it was an organization. And it said that, now this is the only one. I got an email, and it was a scholarship. Out of 133 scholarships, I was only accepted by one. Now let me tell you how good God is and how he works, because he brings forth miraculous things that you have questions about, that only he can answer, that only he can show you. I only got approved for one scholarship, and that scholarship was enough to cover my financial aid that year, and enough for me to get a refund check. Now let me remind you, I have never ever had a scholarship in my life, especially in college. I've never had a scholarship. This was my first scholarship, and it was during my last semester. You can't tell me God ain't good. God is so good. He will make a way out of no way. He will create a way for you. He will bring that forth in the atmosphere. All you have to do is believe it, and all you have to do is understand that it is his job to do it, and it is your job to have the faith. And so I literally, when I read the email, I started crying, because I realized, like, this was the deadline, and this was the only scholarship that has accepted me. And I just started crying, and I just started thanking God. Thank you, Father God, in the name of Jesus, because it was only him that did it. And I was just crying because I was overjoyed with tears. You know that scripture that says God will open up the windows of heaven and pour you down a blessing so big that you don't even have room to accept it? That's what kind of blessing this was. It was so big when I received it that I was overflowing with so much joy that it had to come out in tears, that it had to come out in my testimony, that it had to come out right here as I'm telling you, that I had to tell my friends, that I had to call and tell my parents, my mama and my daddy, and I was shouting for joy because I knew that this was only something that God did for me, you know? So I felt good, and so I went back to the financial aid lady. I told her thank you, gave her a hug, and I was like, God is so good. And it was enough money that covered, not only it was enough money, but it covered my financial aid for the year, and it blessed me with an over $1,000 refund. That's who God is. So my point is, had I not had that faith, had I chose to let my circumstance overtake me, I probably wouldn't have graduated, or it would have been a couple of years later. Who knows? But it is, okay, when we face circumstances and we face situations, it is an opportunity for us. It is an opportunity for us to have faith in God. And I truly thank God for even putting me through something like that, because it taught me to walk with him, to trust him, to understand that he can do miraculous things, you know. And so that was my testimony. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a beautiful thing to trust God. It is a beautiful thing to trust God. And I just hope whatever it is that you are going through, that this story is inspiring to you, and that this story will help you put your faith in God, because he will show up. There is nothing that he can't do. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely have more vlogs coming. I'm so excited. God is so good. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have so many great topics coming. So thank you so much. It's Ebony Shanae signing off.